yourself a cold one.
Let's strike 'em, huh?
And listen to Ross Tucker break down the top college prospects on another tasty edition of The College Draft.
Yeah, it's Daddy Soda time here on the College Draft Podcast, presented, of course, by DraftKings, and it is bowl season. As a reminder, by the way, we are year-round, and there is no better place to get ready for the 2022 NFL Draft than the College Draft Podcast. We are 3 podcasts in one. We're a college football podcast. We're a college football betting podcast, and we are an NFL Draft year-round podcast. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. You see the game balls, helmets behind me if you watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. You can hit me up on social at Ross Tucker NFL, and we, of course, are at Ross Tucker Pod. He is the star of the show. I make no bones about that. I am consistently impressed with the width, depth, and breadth of his knowledge. Say that 3 times fast. The great Emory Hunt at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Of course, he's already a YouTube star, Football Game Plan on YouTube. And then footballgameplan.com/2022 draft guide is where it's at. Emory, when is that bad boy coming out? When can I expect that in my email in next year?
Well, I would probably say early March. And the reason why is because, the schedule pushed back a week or so. Now we got 17 games in the NFL schedule, which pushed back the All-Star games. So therefore, everything else slides back about a week or so. But definitely in March, I would say, because I'll be at all the All-Star games, Ross. Every All-Star game this year, I will be there providing analysis coverage. So find me a draftnik that's at every All-Star game. Find me a draftnik that was at the FCS Bowl last weekend that kicked off the All-Star game circuit. You can't, because they all go to the Senior Bowl. But you can't be a draftnik if you're only at the Senior or Shrine game. I'll be at all of them.
Yeah, I don't even know about the FCS Bowl. Tell me about that. I saw you tweeting about it last week.
Yeah, it's a small college all-star game. Is every December, 7 years running, and it's comprised mostly of FCS prospects. But this year, because of everything being pushed back, they usually have 2 bowl games that weekend. It's FCS Bowl and a National Bowl, which is for D2, D3, NAIA prospects. So they just combine those 2 bowl games this year because of the situation that we're in currently in the country. And it's a great event. You're going to see a lot of guys are going to end up as priority free agents. In the NFL, you're going to see some guys are going to end up in these new alternate leagues like the XFL or the USFL. Some guys are going to end up getting drafted in Canada. So it's a great, starting point for for your prospect scouting, if in my opinion, because it gets you to look at guys that anybody could watch Ohio State play Alabama and say, oh yeah, that guy Bryce Young is going to be a pro player. Like, duh, he's a top, 5-star prospect at a top 5 school. But you really want to train your scouting guys. You go to events like this and you find the guy, find the prospect. There were a few that I saw this past weekend that I'm excited about and studying them, as we get into this process a little bit more, because they definitely had the off the bus look, and they definitely were able to, hold their own all week long against, or the 2 days I was down there, the 2 days of practice against guys from upper level competition.
By the way, I don't know if we discussed this last week. I don't know if I knew or not, but I'm calling the FCS championship game for Westwood 1.
Oh, congratulations. That's dope, man. Like, it's unfortunate you won't get to see Sam Houston because he got thrashed last weekend, but you're going to get a good game because the last 4 teams that are in are phenomenal, opponents. So that's awesome, man. Like, add that to the Ross Tucker belt that you have too. I don't think people need to really appreciate what you do and how you're going about doing it, because you're doing college games, you do pro games. Doesn't matter, what level you're doing, FBS, FCS, and the fact that you have NFL experience in the background of you that's showcasing that. People need to really give you your props, man. Like, I feel like you're vastly underrated.
Well, I appreciate that. Love doing it. I've done it. I did it I did back-to-back games. I did the 2 Carson Wentz games. Yeah. Carson Wentz's junior senior, the only FCS championship games I've done. Looking forward to
because we
getting back there.
We ran into each other. That's what we ran into each other in Frisco.
Okay. Yeah, you're everywhere, man. All right, let's start. Speaking of that, let's start with Western Kentucky at App State. App is favored by 3. And there's 2 Western Kentucky players that are legit NFL prospects that I'm aware of. I'm glad you want to talk about both of them. D'Angelo Malone, the D end, and Bailey Zappi, the quarterback.
Yeah, Malone was someone we talked about in the preseason, previewing Group of 5 conferences, and he was someone that he was the I can't say G5 because Cincinnati's still in the G5. If you like Majay Sanders of Cincinnati,
Yeah.
you'll like D'Angelo Malone of Western Kentucky. They play the same type of game. They both are long, linear guys that can really dip and pressure the quarterback. So I'm excited to see him compete again in this ball game. I don't know if he's a Senior Bowl or Shrine game, but he's definitely one of those 2 guys that are going to an All-Star game. And Zappi transferred from Houston Baptist, threw for a lot of yards at Houston Baptist, and I think he has a chance to break Joe Burrow's touchdown record in this game, because he's got 59 touchdowns or something like that. So all he needs is 4 touchdowns, which should be light work for them to really break that record. It has, like I said last show or 2 shows ago, the quietest 50+ touchdown passing season that we've ever seen.
That you got that right. He's not getting nearly as much attention, I think, as he should. He's been absolutely phenomenal. All right, what about for App State? I feel like I've heard about this guy before as well. Thomas Hennigan, their receiver.
I'm gonna always talk about Thomas Hennigan because I feel like no one is talking about him. They find other receivers on the team to talk about, justifiably so. There are other good players, but Hennigan has been consistent. Hennigan is someone that I see as a Sunday guy that you're gonna watch every Sunday and be like, man, this dude he's just open and he's just making catches. He's just converting third downs. He's just moving the sticks. That's Thomas Hennigan. And I'm a Sunbelt guy, so I watch a lot of Sunbelt football, and every time Louisiana's playing App State, here's a guy that's making the critical catch on third down or in the crucial part of the game. Hennigan is about 6'2", 215. He's well put together. He knows how to stack defensive backs, great hands, and is an active participant in the run game as well. So I'm a big fan of Hennigan and what he brings to the table. I think he's going to be a solid pro for a decade.
All right. So what do you like in this game with App State laying the 3?
I'm taking Western Kentucky in the points here. Unless Zappi and Malone aren't playing, which I doubt, I don't understand why App is favored. Chase Bryce, is been wildly inconsistent. So to me, that sounds like a lot of 3 and outs, which means you're going to give Western Kentucky more opportunities with the football, and they definitely know what to do with it. So I'm taking the Hilltoppers in the points here.
Interesting. You sure that's not your App State hate?
Not at all. We've been there, done that, bought a T-shirt. They're beneath us now. You know what I mean? So we're on to bigger and better things. We got Marshall this week, so we're worrying about that. The other team from the old SoCon that we're going to take care of this weekend in New Orleans Bowl.
Love it. All right. Before we get to UTEP and Fresno, it's very important that people know how much I love the convenience of AutoZone. I said this on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast today, Emory. We did power rankings. I love being able to order stuff ahead of time. Like if I'm driving back from somewhere, I'm not going somewhere unless I can order ahead of time. I go in, there's people in line, Emory, people in line ordering. There's people in the drive-thru. I walk in like Vince McMahon, okay? I know that my food's already sitting there. I walk in like, what are you waiting in line? They already have made my food. It's already ready. I love it. That's AutoZone, dude. AutoZone has free same-day store pickup after you order online, which is awesome. Or if you don't feel like even leaving your house, they have free next-day delivery. I like free. I like ordering stuff online. I like convenience. It's amazing. Every car is different. Oh, by the way, they got 6,000 stores nationwide ready to help you at a moment's notice. So next time you're starting a job, start it by shopping your way at AutoZone.com with their free same-day pickup and free next-day delivery. Get in the zone, AutoZone. All right, Emory, who's getting in the zone? UTEP and Fresno. Fresno favored by 11.5. By the way, the whole Fresno thing, like, okay, Kalen DeBoer leaves for University of Washington. I get it. They bring back Jeff Tedford. I get it. But how about Haener, their quarterback, goes in the transfer portal to go to Washington, which is where he started his career, transferred from Washington to Fresno. He wants to go back because his coach is going there. But then Tedford comes in, I guess, convinces him to stay because he's going to stay at Fresno State, which I mean, I guess he's playing in the bowl game.
Right. And at first you thought, okay, he's going to enter the NFL draft because he's been there forever. And now he's back. It's like, yo, I can't make heads or tails of how many people are eligible for the draft or not eligible for the draft or coming for it's chaos. That's another reason why the draft guys will be pushed back a week. So let's say he's playing in the game. All right, cool, fine, check. The point is Fresno State has very good defense, and that's going to be key in this game against UTEP. But having Haener back there gives you some stability in offense. But the big star is Ronnie Rivers, a running back. You know, to me, he's someone that's underrated. Another guy we talked about in our preseason show. We saw him break the record against in the opener against UConn out there at Fresno, and so I think he's someone that UTEP will have to deal with. He's, to me, is the perfect complementary back at the next level. Good burst, good speed, good receiver out of the backfield. Someone that's definitely going to have a role on Sundays.
Love it. Love Ronnie Rivers. You're right, though, Emory. You know, recruiting is a mess right now because everybody's just waiting on transfers. So high school kids are getting a raw deal, especially the FCS. They're all waiting on seeing what happens with transfers. These schools don't know who's transferring, who's staying. Sean Clifford is going to be at Penn State for a 6th year, going to be the starting quarterback for a 4th season at age 24. It's unreal. And with the transfer portal and the extra year, I've lost track of who's playing for who next year. I really don't even know. It's a terrific point by you. Tell me who you're looking at on UTEP.
Walter Neal Jr., the K-State transfer, has been excellent this year for UTEP. Big part of the turnaround for the Miners. I'm always glad to see UTEP having success. You want to see more of these teams that have been downtrodden for quite some time to have success. And Neal has come in, has been feisty out there on the perimeter, flying up, unafraid to make plays in the run game. So I think he's probably going to end up being a nickel at the next level, but you love someone that competes hard, that is not afraid to tackle, and that can cover. So if you want him to be on the outside, he definitely has experience in doing so, and he's going to get a workout against Fresno State that wants to, push the ball vertically down the field with Haener at quarterback.
Fresno's laying 11.5. What is Emory Hunt doing?
I am laying the points with Fresno. I love their offense. Defensively, they are good enough to slow down UTEP's ground game, which will put UTEP at a disadvantage. They want to run the football, control the clock, tempo, and all that good stuff like that. But they don't really threaten you consistently throwing the football. And if you're one-dimensional against Fresno State, it makes their job a lot easier. So I trust that Fresno State will get the job done and cover easily.
I like that pick. I also like PicksWise, the #1 free app for football picks, odds, and analysis. Find expert picks for every game all season long. Loaded with best bets, props, and parlays. You can find in-depth game predictions, giving you the who, how, and why behind every prediction, all for free. Found your pick? Search our latest DraftKings promotions to sign up for an account and place your bet. Download the free PicksWise app now to make your next bet better. PicksWise backs responsible gambling. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. How are we gambling in this South Carolina State, Jackson State game, Emory? Jackson State is laying 10. I saw you tweeting about them yesterday.
Yeah, it's the Celebration Bowl. It's sold out, which is ridiculous. I've been to 3. I've been to the first 3 Celebration Bowl games. The first one was 30,000 fans, which was good for an FCS bowl game, right? But now you're at the point where they had to continue to open up sections of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta to the point where they're now sold out, to where the Celebration Bowl tweeted out yesterday, hey, okay, because we're sold out, we're going to open up only 1,000 standing room only seats for fans because of the interest, which speaks volumes to the job that Coach Deion Sanders has done at Jackson State. And I don't know if you watched Jackson State this year, Ross, but that defense looks like an FBS defense. And only one team has scored over 20 points on Jackson State. So everyone else, including UL Monroe, which is an FBS opponent, has not gotten over 20 points against Jackson State. So this defense is going to be ridiculous. I don't think, it's going to be a defensive game, but I don't think South Carolina State's offense will score against Jackson State. So I'm laying the points with Jackson State. And the reason why you saw me tweet about them the other day, Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, the freshman quarterback, won the Jerry Rice Award, which is given to the top freshman in the FCS. So he has the SWAC Freshman of the Year, and he also has a Jerry Rice Award, which is the national award. He has played like a redshirt senior. He is playing well beyond his years. I have not seen a freshman quarterback play that poised, that calm from the position, regardless of subdivision. So I was impressed, thoroughly impressed. Didn't know what to expect of him coming in. But we got to start believing Coach Prime. He told us in the spring, like, the team y'all seeing right now in the spring is not the team y'all going to see in the fall because of how we practice and who you're practicing against and the guys that we got on that roster. He wasn't lying, because this team right here is the best, at the HBCU level, but also a top 10 FCS team, and probably would have won a couple games in the FCS playoffs.
Okay, I got a question. Why aren't they in the FCS playoffs?
Because the SWAC and the MEAC winners are obligated to go to the Celebration Bowl. And it's almost like how the Rose Bowl used to always get the top Big Ten and Pac-12 team, right? And they always had to go to the Rose Bowl. The bowl contract with the Celebration Bowl takes the conference winners. Otherwise, because we used to have this thing called the Heritage Bowl, which was played in Atlanta as well back in the mid to late 90s. And it was the same type of setup where the MEAC champ and the SWAC champ were supposed to meet, but it wasn't obligated. So what happened was those top teams used to decline the bowl invitation and go to the playoffs. So you had a bowl game that had the third best and second best team in each conference going to the bowl game. And it was like, the bowl game wasn't attended well because nobody wants to watch the third best team play each other. So now they make sure the champs go to the bowl game as opposed to opting out and going to the playoffs.
Very interesting. I did not know that. Was Sanders a heavily recruited kid?
He had committed to Florida Atlantic. He was a 3-star prospect, committed to Florida Atlantic. Then Deion gets the job at Jackson State. Obviously, he decommits and he joins his father at Jackson State, but he couldn't play in the spring because he was a high school freshman. And so he had to wait to the fall. And that's exactly what he did. He apparently, all reports were he was killing the defense during the spring practices. And that's why Coach Prime was like, hey, when we get out there in the fall, this team will look a lot different than what y'all seeing right now.
Got it. Who are the prospects in this game?
James Houston IV for Jackson State was a linebacker at Florida, and he transferred to Jackson State and has become sort of a bit of an edge player. He's 6'1", about 230, but he has over 21 TFLs, over 19 and a half sacks, which leads the FCS. So he's a top sack producer. He can get after the quarterback. He's a senior too. He should have a huge day in his game. Someone that definitely has elevated his draft stock, kind of reinventing himself at Jackson State. And on South Carolina State side, Dakota Durant has been on the radar for quite some time. He is the best, probably, pro prospect in the game. And when you think about head coach Buddy Pugh and what he's done defensively in his tenure, he's one of the best coaches on that side of the ball, one of the best coaches, period, that's underrated. But he's produced Javon Hargrave up front. He's produced Darius Leonard at linebacker to second level. And now he has Dakota Durant that should be at least a 3rd-round pick. So Buddy Pugh knows defense. So I think this game will be closer than people think. But Dakota Durant is a guy that is a Senior Bowl, a Shrine Bowl guy. He's one of those type players. Definitely one to watch.
Who are you doing with the spread here?
Laying the points with Jackson State, laying those 10 points. Jackson State could win this game 21-0, and it wouldn't surprise me. I just see South Carolina State's offense, which is run base, have problems against the number one rush defense and a secondary that has ball hawks and lockdown man-to-man corners. Ross, I'm telling you, if you hadn't seen this defense play, watch these dudes play. South Carolina will be on that struggle bus offensively against the Tigers.
UAB is playing BYU. BYU's favored by 7. UAB's got a tight end, Hayden Pittman, you like.
Yeah, I like Hayden Pittman, man. He's like the southeastern version of the tight end from Colorado State. Like they're both guys that can really Trey McBride. They're both guys that can really get down the middle, down the seam. They make contested catches. They are willing to sacrifice their body for the reception, and that's what you want at that position. Somebody that can help you move the chains. He's more along the lines of what you see as a Dawson Knox for the Buffalo Bills. So I think he's one of these guys that is going to be a solid pro at the next level, probably a mid-round draft pick. I'm excited to see him get out there and compete against a very good BYU defense.
So BYU's got some skill guys too. Tyler Algier, I'm familiar with, the running back. I don't know about this wide receiver, Gunnar Romney. Is he related to Mitt Romney?
That's his grandson. That is absolutely. So
I didn't know that.
Yep, that's Mitt Romney's grandson. And Romney is the master of the sideline reception. Like he's 6'5", but man, and I don't care where you throw that football on the sideline, he's gonna get both feet in. He stretches about 8 feet tall, and you're not gonna knock him off that spot. He is unbelievable in terms of body positioning and letting his feet die on the sideline, the back of the end zone, all those good things. So he plays well above the rim. He's a solid route runner, but definitely someone that has that pro game in terms of, I'm playing like I'm already on Sundays in terms of his footwork, where he is on the field, and how he make reception. And Algier is someone that is super productive. He's a junior, but again, with the COVID year and also BYU's, guys go on a mission for a decade and come back and they be sophomores. Who knows if he's going to play or not, next year, if he's going to come out, but he is definitely draft eligible and one of the best running backs in the country.
So what are you doing with the game? BYU laying 7.
I think this will be a entertaining game, one I'm excited to see. So it'll be closer than 7 points. I'm taking UAB in the points here. I think we'll see a 3 or 4 point game. Definitely not a touchdown favorite worthy type game. I feel like BYU plays at times to let both teams stay in it. So I'm taking UAB in the points to keep this one close.
I'm playing the people that overcome the odds, rewrite the playbook, deliver under pressure. I'm talking about the MVPs of small business that lead their teams to victories all year long. Visa is proud to provide playmakers everywhere with more tools to help grow their business, help them achieve even greater success. Because the more people we can empower, the more we all win. Visa, a network working for everyone. All right, Emory, who's working for us in Friday night's game? I don't know why the game doesn't start till 9:15. I mean, that's rough for me. I only stay up till like 10:30 usually. I don't know who decided that, but it's JMU at North Dakota State. I'm going to watch as long as I can. I'm pumped about it. North Dakota State's favored by 5.5. Tell me about JMU's quarterback, Cole Johnson.
Cole Johnson has put together probably one of the best statistical years in quite some time at the position. I feel like he only has 1 interception on the season, or maybe 2, in 35, 36 touchdown passes. He's a senior. He's 6'5", 215, throws the football extremely well at all levels of the field. There was a play against Southeastern Louisiana where he had to stare down the gun barrel, and took a shot right in the chest, but delivered a perfect strike on a flag route in the corner of the end zone. It's like, man, this dude is legit good, and he's just constantly making plays in the passing game, and is able to evade pressure a little bit to buy himself some time to complete these throws. So he's probably one of the more underrated senior quarterbacks that we're not talking about in the draft class.
North Dakota State, wide receiver Christian Watson, fullback Hunter Lupke. I feel like North Dakota State can always have a good fullback.
They should, right? But this dude Luke is man. I tweeted this out last spring. Like, he was on a roll. There was one game I was watching where they gave him the football like 10 times in a row, and he was averaging like 7 or 8 yards. I was like, I don't care what his classification is. I'm drafting Hunter right now and starting him on my football team. I want that dude on my team because he's toting that rock like he's supposed to. He's an old school guy where you're seeing these big backs, but he can also play fullback. You can trust him as a detached H-back, and have him work in the passing game. He's good blocking on the move, but in the short yardage, goal line, 4-minute offense type situation, he can close out the game too. He's a junior, so I just want to get him into the show just to talk about him because that's how big of a fan I am of his game. He is someone that can do it all at the position, and he wears 44. It's hard not to like big backs that wear big numbers like 44 because automatically you're thinking, all right, is he Chuck Foreman? Is he, Tom Rathman? Is he, Kyle Juszczyk? Who is he? John Riggins? It doesn't matter. You want a big back with a big number, toting the rock, and Luke can do it well. And Watson, you hope he plays in this game. I don't think he's going to play, but he's 6'5", about 210 pounds with blazing speed. And he's probably going to be drafted in the third or fourth round coming out of North Dakota State. He is a Tampa kid. They quietly built the pipeline from Fargo to Tampa, or from Fargo to Florida, getting these skill players up there, and he can legit run. He also returns kicks and punts. So for a tall guy with that amount of ability and speed, definitely someone that you want to earmark for this whole draft process.
North Dakota State is favored by 5.5, Emory.
I'm taking JMU in the points here. JMU has beaten North Dakota State in Fargo when they went on to play and win the national championship this year. 5.5 seems a bit much. If this was a 3 or 4 point spread, I would say lay the points with North Dakota State. But because you got 5.5, I see this one being extremely tight. So I'm taking JMU in the points here.
I love it. Absolutely love it. That'll do it, by the way. Taking notes on your picks so I can get it on the social media at Ross Tucker Pod. I love that pick. So
you could add Louisiana laying the points against Marshall too in the New Orleans Bowl Saturday.
I didn't even need to ask you about that one. I already know what you would do there. Check him out on social at FBall Game Plan. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. Please spread the word about this show to any of your buddies because you know what? It's bowl season and it's draft season here on the College Draft Podcast. The keg is kicked. We are all tapped out.
Thanks for listening to the College Draft Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, Even Money, and The Business of Sports. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.